With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. So, I'm not going to waste a ton of time here. I just got a simple question for you guys. The Philadelphia Eagles were notified by Jason Peters and his representatives that, hey, I'd actually like to play. Sort of like that Brett Favre situation in Green Bay where they thought he was going to retire. They were ready to turn the reins over to Aaron Rodgers, and then Favre shows back up like, hey, about me retiring. I thought about it. I still want to play. And they're like, well, Brett, that's great news, but we already gave the job to Aaron. Sorry, dude. We had him waiting. He's ready to go now. You got to play somewhere else. Jason Peters looked like he was going to retire after the season, and he had another good year last year for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's another one of these physical specimens that just continues to defy age and time. And even though he's 38 years old, he's still playing at a very high level, similar to Andrew Whitworth with the Los Angeles Rams. But Peters was the guy in Philadelphia, but they drafted Andre Dillard. If you remember, last year spent a first-round pick on him to be the incumbent left tackle and kind of just learning the ropes, so to speak. And if, Peters were to go down, and he did at one point, he could step in, he being Dillard, and fill that void. Now they're ready to start Dillard full time, and it looked like Jason Peters was going to hang it up. So it was kind of everything falling into place perfectly for the Eagles, and except Peters at the end of the season, body gets to heal up a bit. And, the mental grind of the season is over. You're feeling good now that you're removed from the season, 3 months now, and you feel good. And you take a step back. Yeah, I think I can still play. And oh, by the way, it's not that bad to get a check, too. So he's like, yeah, still got some in the tank. I want to play. And they're like, hey, Jay, man, we love you, but hey, we got the youngin' over here, Dillard, ready to go. So we got Lane on the other side. We just paid him some money. Got the youngin' on the other side. We don't have anywhere for you. But, if something were to come up, we got your number. We'll call you. He's like, cool, sounds good. But I'm going to let you go ahead and hit that free agency, though. So Jason Peters is a free agent. And we've seen this guy 2 times a year for the last 8-9 years. And he's been stellar for the Philadelphia Eagles. I get it. Most Redskins fans are all for the young movement. They don't want. I tried to get you guys on the Greg Olsen train, and most of you wanted no parts of it. I was all for Greg Olsen here in DC. He decided to sign in Seattle. It was a smart decision by him. Don't blame him one iota for that. But now we got a shot at Jason Peters potentially. Look, we don't know what the left tackle position is going to hold for the Redskins. I can tell you this much. More likely than not, it won't have Trent Williams in at left tackle. Okay, the Redskins starting lineup will not have 71 unless it's this 71, as in Jason Peters 71. It won't be Trent Williams 71. So the question I have for you guys is a simple one. Should the Redskins pursue Jason Peters in free agency? He's 38 years old. It's not going to be cheap to bring him on board, but he is one of the best left tackles still in football when he's healthy. And so it's another Band-Aid solution similar to the one we employed last year with Donald Penn, but it got us through the season. If we are not in a position to draft the left tackle of the future, all right, Jerron Christian Sr. does not look like he is up to task for that particular job. He looks like he's nothing more than a swing tackle in this league, which is fine. But if you're not ready to divulge and invest in a left tackle position with a high-level pick, which the Redskins currently are not in a position to do that, do you then find the Band-Aid solution once again to get you to next year where you can maybe invest in a top left tackle in the draft next year? Redskins aren't spending a first-round pick on a left tackle in this year's draft, and you don't have a second-round pick where there will still be some leftover table scraps that you may be able to snag up. That's not going to be an option. Now, obviously, just because you don't get one in the first or second round doesn't mean there won't be some talent left in the third, fourth, fifth. That's where your talent evaluators come into play and identify what guys fit your scheme and your system. And if someone's available, maybe you go that route. But for the time being, if the Redskins don't have another plan in terms of free agency, like an Anthony Costanzo or someone like that that's available in free agency, if they don't have a plan B, to get someone on board and the draft doesn't seem something that's viable. Let's say they get a third for Trent and they're not confident that they love anyone that's going to be around in, say, the third round. Does a Jason Peters make a ton of sense in free agency? And remember, this is a guy that's going to have potential suitors. We're not going to be the only ones interested in Jason Peters. He's going to have a market, all right? Just like the quarterback position, there's never enough left tackles in this league, all right? Good ones, at least, okay? So you're always going to find teams needing a left tackle, even if it's a Band-Aid solution, a one-year stopgap. Teams need left tackles, right tackles. They need tackles in this league, which is why you see after the drop-off of the starter going to the bench and a backup having to come in, there's a massive drop-off usually from that first starter to the next guy, similar to the quarterback position. Starter to backup, it's usually a huge drop-off in difference because there are not enough of them. There are not a lot of high-quality ones. He's going to have some guys, some teams really looking to bring him on board. So if the Redskins want him, they're going to have to act fast. What do you say? Should the Redskins pursue left tackle Jason Peters in free agency if, in fact, Trent Williams is going to be traded, and it seems like that's more likely to occur than not at this point? What do you think? Leave it in the comments section. Should the Redskins pursue Jason Peters? I say yes. I'm all for it, especially if you feel like you're not in a position to draft a major tackle this year. But we'll see. And that's why I think it's more imperative that you get Trent traded before free agency starts. The sooner you trade him, the better off you are, because now you know what assets you have to play with. Whether it's 2 3s or you get a second for Trent, then you know, okay, I got a second round pick and it's at the top of the second or the back end of the second. Now you can start formulating a plan that maybe doesn't include going after a Jason Peters or Anthony Costanzo or someone like that in free agency. If you don't come up with a plan, if you don't trade Trent prior to free agency, then you're kind of out, kind of dangling in the wind, so to speak, and it may force you to do something you don't want to do. So I surmise that if the Redskins are capable of doing this, they move Trent before free agency so they know exactly what they're up against. But I'm asking you, what do you think the Redskins should do with this Jason Peters situation? Should they potentially pursue him, or should they steer clear of aging veterans, as they've done for the most part this offseason, and continue to build a young football team? What do you guys say out there? I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. I feel like another Band-Aid solution may be able to get us through to next year, where I think it'll be a much better situation for the Redskins. Because I really feel like if we handle the draft this year the way we've handled it the last 2 years, I don't believe there will be as many holes as we have right now, apparent ones that are glaring, where you feel like we've got to draft this guy in the first round. I think next year you'll be able to draft a tackle next year in the first round if you take care of a lot of the needs that you have this year. So I feel really good about the Redskins filling some of these voids that they've had, and maybe they fill tackle this year with a 3rd or a 4th round prospect. You know, tackles are one of those positions. If you identify a guy and you're able to coach him up, Jason Peters, for prime example, the guy we're talking about, was an undrafted offensive lineman. He came into the league as a tight end, all right, and then shifted to offensive tackle in Buffalo because he was undrafted in Buffalo and went from tight end to tackle, and the rest is history. And you're talking about a guy that's going to end up being a Hall of Fame player when it's all said and done, most likely. So, again, you can find talent, you know, at the offensive tackle position, but it's a lot easier when you like a Trent Williams in that case. It's a lot easier when you just draft a blue chipper. But we're not in that position right now, so we'll see what the Redskins scouting department is capable of in the draft and what falls to them potentially, or we'll see if the Redskins have another trick up their sleeve, a la trading Trent and maybe packaging up some picks to move up, or maybe trading Trent, getting that second, and really having a guy that they can zero in on in the second round, wherever that pick may be. whatever the case may be. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, we're going to be live Wednesday night. A lot to talk about. Hopefully, we'll have resolution to the Trent Williams situation. We'll see. But if not, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to talk about a ton of other things because we're getting closer and closer to free agency. And so we'll have a ton of topics to discuss. Unless something else comes up before then and now, I'll see you on Wednesday night. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you later. Take care.
Louie T Network.